Something to keep in mind is that people are going to be reading this test in the future, and they may not know the implementation of login and what decisions were made and what's important. And so everything that they see in the test, they're going to assume is important. So they're going to assume that it's important that we render the login with an onSubmit prop. And they see that this is just a jest function, so they know that, oh, okay, it doesn't really matter what the function does. It just matters that we keep track of what that function is called with. Okay, that's fine. And then they're going to say, okay, we need to make a username and type that username in here. And that variable needs to be assigned to Chuck Norris. Otherwise, maybe I guess this won't work. It just has to be Chuck Norris and it has to be I need no password. And of course, that's not true. You can really put anything for the username, but there's nothing in our code here to indicate that these values actually are not super important. And so this is why we're going to import Faker from the Faker module. And we're going to use Faker to create a username. So we'll say faker.internet username. And now every single time this test runs, we're going to get a completely different username. So we have Brenna Krona, and this time we have Isabel Weber, and it just keeps on going forever. So we get a brand new one every time, and our test is still passing because we're referencing that same username in all of these places. But now we're communicating that, hey, it doesn't matter what the username is, so long as it's just like your typical internet username. And we can do the same thing for our password as well to make a fake internet password. And now that's going to be generated every time this test is run. And we're communicating, hey, it doesn't matter what these values are. It just matters that they are your typical username and password values. So I'm going to be doing this a fair amount in my application. So I'm going to make a function build login form, and we're going to return an object that has username and password properties. So I'll just move this up. We'll objectify this stuff. And then we're going to call build login form to get our username and password destructured right off of the object it returns. And now we can call build login form in all of our tests and get a random username and password. So in review, all that we did here is pull in Faker from the Faker module, really popular module for generating fake test data. And then we generated a username and a password. And then down here, we put that into a function that we could call. And so now we're communicating that it doesn't matter what they are, just that they're your typical username and password using this build login form. And then we fill those in, and we verify that handle submit is called with the values that we filled into the form.